welcome to a very, very hot planet episode of Before Coffee, Good Tues Newsday. Weather is good, well, depending on where you are. Here in the Netherlands, it is probably going to be the hottest week of the year. Maybe, hopefully not hotter than this. Like 104 degrees in some places. It's not desert country, so very humid too. So it probably feels like 110. And we are here for our good news, sharing what is humanity and animals and all that things that just fill you up with that good energy inside. Like, I'm so happy that we're alive. So welcome to Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we started. We haven't had any caffeine, rolled out of bed, and we're trying to see through the haze of this hot summer.
Hey.
So let's read our headlines for today's show. Today on Good Tues Newsday, 21st century has seen tree cover expand in 60% of American counties, including metro areas, and the British ash woodland is evolving resistance.
And good morning from the United States. This is Roger, where we're going to do Good Tues Newsday, talking about Angler's Paradise among the Turbines and Block Island. And in Georgia, sheep on a solar farm is not a bad idea.
In more animal news, whales! We've got two stories about whales here. First, dozens of whales are saved by locals after mass stranding on an Icelandic beach. And in Australia, commuter traffic stops for whales on Australia's humpback highway.
And in our comprehensive story, we have 9 simple ways to be happy every day.
In our culture news, what if Oasis had never existed? I think a lot of people are pretty happy. But also, maybe British culture would be totally different.
And it's the anniversary of the invention of the zip code, and it's National Postal Worker Day. So zip it up and get ready for another hour of news and information on July 1st, 2025 and Before Coffee.
We're going postal, as they say. Are we? I'm probably going to go postal with all this heat. I'm not even thinking lie about that.
Oh, man. That's as old as the Sony Walkman.
We're here for some good news. We're here to talk about all the good stuff, and we're here to roll the segue with you. I don't know what the hell to say in between stories. It looks like you're gonna have to give me a non sequitur. Phil loves giving you non sequiturs. That's what we're gonna do. My first story is coming out of the UK. Story about trees. This whole section is about trees. From Queen Mary, the University of London, scientists at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, and Queen Mary University of London have discovered that a new generation of trees growing naturally in woodland exhibit greater resistance to disease compared to older trees. They find that natural selection is active on thousands of locations within the ash tree DNA, driving the evolution of resistance. Seeing it live as it happens. A study published in Science offers renewed hope for the future of ash trees in British landscape, and provides compelling evidence for a long-standing prediction of Darwinian theory. Now, everything Darwin thought of isn't true. Like everything in science, you have a theory and then you try to prove it wrong. And a lot of things were proved wrong in Darwin's theory, but this is one thing that seems to be actually happening. Right? Resistance through evolution. Ash dieback, caused by a fungus, Hemancypius fraxinus, arrived in Britain in 2012, prompting an emergency COBRA meeting. Not a bunch of snakes, but COBRA, probably, I don't know what COBRA stands for. Climate on British Rainforest Association. I don't know. What does COBRA stand for? No, not the reptile. No, I'm only gonna find the reptile now, because they're like, you mean the reptile? Even if I COBRA is a British political thriller television series. No, not that one. I don't know. I guess I don't know what COBRA stands for. a lot of things that stand for Cobra, actually, looking at this. But none of them are the British one. Either way, they care about trees, I'm sure. The disease has since wrought havoc in British countryside, leaving behind skeletal remains of dying ash trees, like they're being eaten from by inside. Past predictions estimated that up to 85% of ash trees will succumb to the disease, with none displaying complete immunity. The new study compared the DNA of ash trees established before and after the fungal invasion. Research observed subtle shifts in the frequencies of DNA variants associated with tree health across thousands of locations known. These shifts indicate that the younger generation possesses greater resistance than their predecessors, offering hope for survival of ash trees. The research provides a real-world example of a natural selection in action, as theorized by Charles Darwin. It also demonstrates selection on a trait influenced by numerous genes, a phenomenon that has been widely assumed but difficult to prove. So there isn't just one gene, the ash trees, that makes them immune or resistant to fungus, right? It's multiple genes. Let's say 10. They didn't really say how many. Let's say there's 10 genes. All of those genes together work to be resistant to this fungus. The trees are only creating new trees, new saplings, for having these specific genes that are resistant. Very cool. Professor Richard Nicholas and Professor of Evolutionary Genetics at the University of London said, "A tragedy for the trees has been a revelation for scientists, allowing us to show that thousands of genes are constantly ash trees fight back against fungus. Our detection of so many small genetic effects is possible because of the exceptional combination of circumstances, sudden arrival of such a severe disease, and the hundreds of offspring produced by a mature tree." Dr. Carrie Metheringham, PhD research included this study, added, "Thanks to natural selection, future generations of ash should have a better chance of withstanding infection. However, natural selection alone may not be enough to produce resistant trees. The existence of genetic variation in the ash population may be too low, and as the tree becomes scarcer, the rate of selection is low. Human interventions such as selective breeding and protection of young trees from deer grazing may be required to accelerate evolutionary change." Well, they're probably guilty of causing the fungus happen in the first place, right? It was introduced in Britain in 2012, very recently. So somebody was eating some fungus, I guess, and threw it down on the
Probably an
the
invasive
ground, and it
species
just
of weed or something.
trees. These are delicious.
There might be a plant growing near that. There might be a plant growing near the trees that harbors that fungus.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you can't grow white pines in the United States near a currant bush. So most of this country doesn't have currant bushes or gooseberries, right? England made the choice that they wanted currant bushes. That's why England doesn't have a lot of white pines. But there's a fungus that lives on currant bushes that kills white pines. So currant bushes got wiped out in the United States like over a century ago. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, just because of this one thing, it's possible. Like they said, it was introduced, so they don't really know how it happened, but it did happen. That's for sure. It definitely happened.
Because white pines grow straight and they're great for construction.
Yep. So that's why they're looking at human intervention, such as selective breeding, to accelerate this evolutionary change. Professor Richard Buggs, senior research leader, plant health and adaptation at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, and professor of evolutionary genomics at Queen University of London, said, "We are so glad that these findings suggest ash will not go the way of the elm in Britain. Elm trees have struggled to evolve to Dutch elm disease, but ash are showing a very different dynamic. They produce an abundance of seedlings upon which natural selection can act when they are still young. Through the death of millions of ash trees, a more resistant population to ash hearing." Buggs added, "Lots of textbooks about evolution have hypothetical examples of natural selection driving change in quantitative traits. For example, the size and speed of wolves. These are actually hard to prove in real-life cases. Here we provide a real example which is characterized at the DNA level. Study carried out in Marden Park Wood in Surrey, which is owned and managed by Woodland Trust. Rebecca Gosling, policy advocate, tree health and invasive species at the Woodland Trust, said, "Ash dieback demonstrates how devastating pathogens are trees and the species which rely upon them. This important research gives us hope for the future of our ash population. The findings highlight how vital it is to natural regeneration in woodlands, furthering our understanding of how to best manage our ash woodlands. Professor Nicholas Spence, everyone wants to be on this study. They're like, oh my god, I also have an opinion. DEFRA's chief plant health officer said, tackling the growing threat from tree pests and disease due to climate change is critical to protect the long-term health and resilience of our trees. DEFRA has invested over £9 million in ash dieback-related research of the disease in the UK in 2012. This study contributes significantly to our knowledge base by demonstrating the tolerance of ash to dieback is heritable and highlighting that breeding programs and natural regeneration could work together to secure the future of our native ash tree. That's right, so don't worry, they're not going to go away like the elms. The Dutch disease got the elms, but not today. Whatever the ash is, they're not going to get them. Thanks to discovering new things, well, confirm things about science. We had theories, but now it's...
In the United States, it's an insect killing the ash trees called the emerald ash borer. The EAB. And yeah, so, yeah, it's an insect, and they haven't figured out a way to get rid of that. Hopefully England doesn't get that insect now, too, right? But, yeah, that's what's killing it. And my non sequitur would be, did you know that until recently, maybe the last 20, 30 years, all baseball bats in professional baseball were made from ash trees?
Really? Huh.
But since they become more rare, they started making them more maples and birch. But yeah.
So they use softer woods. That's interesting. Yeah. For the bounce back,
the original crack of the bat. The original crack of the bat you hear in baseball games comes from an ash tree.
Oh, that's cool.
But like I said, maple's more popular now because maples are dying off like crazy.
All right, my next story about trees and more science in the trees. 21st century has seen tree cover expand in 60% of American counties. Now, a reminder for anybody who's not seen like an ancient map of the Americas, the whole country used to be just trees. And we destroyed most of that woodland for, to build our cities or whatever we did with that. Burned
trees
it for
and
fuel.
Bison.
Yep.
It was trees and bison everywhere. Yeah.
The country's getting 60% more greener in the last 20 years, I guess, than it was, during the Industrial Revolution. This is from Andy Corbley on Good News Network. In a creative use of big data, survey has found that 3,119 U.S. counties, 1,836 experienced growth and expansion of tree cover with a high concentration among prairie and Midwest areas. Which is great because that is where, there's a lot more trees. The prairie. Additionally, among counties that had thinning forests, mean tree loss was lower than the mean increase among countries that saw expanding forests. In other words, when measured by county, the U.S. has seen net forest growth over the last 2 decades. Tree cover in human civilization performs several functions. Woods, however small, have the effect of increasing biodiversity in an area, retaining soil and preventing erosion and runoff into waterways, shading and reducing average air temperatures, offering the obvious recreation opportunities, helping to calm people. That's right. Listening to the sound of trees calms you down. Lawn Starter. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, this is right. Lawn Starter published an analysis of tree cover data by county, which found that the increases in tree cover weren't limited to areas. For example, Lee County, New Mexico, is one of the 25 largest counties in the lower 48 by land area, and it experienced, hear this, a 1,600% increase in forest canopy. Not 160, not 16%, 1,600% increase in forestry canopy. The highest registered in the analysis. However, 14 of the 25 most populated U.S. counties also gained tree cover. Kings County, New York, Broward County, Florida, Wayne County, Michigan, home to Brooklyn, Fort Lauderdale, and Detroit, respectively. So even those places have most of the people. 14 out of the 25 most populated counties even got more tree cover. Both Palm Beach County and Miami-Dade County also gained a canopy, significant amounts of it. The counties containing prairie urban centers like Boise, Boise, Omaha, Lincoln, and Wichita all gained forest cover. Denver, Indianapolis, Seattle, Columbus, Philadelphia, and Nashville also gained more forest cover. The analysis was conducted between 2000 and 2020 and found a mean increase of 8.15% across all counties that gained forest cover. That means a positive thing for living in a climate, since reforestation gains throughout the 20th century have insulated the southeastern region of the United States from average temperatures seen in other regions. CNN reported here. So, are you living in a desert? Get some more trees. Start growing those. There's trees that grow in the desert. I know this is crazy, but like cypress trees, they love that deep aquifer, deep in the ground that you can't reach. Tree cover, very important and very good, especially as the world gets hotter. At least you can hide under the shade of the trees, and they can keep while you try to live in this hot planet. But that's more of my shorter story, so.
Okay. I guess a non sequitur is like, trees. They absorb not just heat, they absorb radio frequencies. Like, radio frequencies, how is that good? It's like, yeah, you don't get a lot of radiation, right? So a lot of trees will take a lot of the radiation out of the air, too. So isn't a hidden benefit you don't see because it's
almost like this planet has its own deal it's doing and it doesn't need our help.
Yeah, humors are just incidental.
Yeah.
we need to realize that. We've been here about a fraction of the time that dinosaurs were, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been dominant for that amount of time. And we've been here all along. We've just been in different forms. But yeah, if you don't believe in evolution, you're stuck in the over 6,000 years is Earth was. Oh yeah, Earth's only 6,000 years old. Aye, there's your non sequitur.
Okay, I think
the wheel for my story.
Metaphor.
All right.
I didn't.
We've all heard about wind turbines. Equate metaphor for wind turbines. We've heard, wind turbines, they're making ugly out in the sea. They're going to kill sea life. Well, it turns out it's the opposite. This is from us.orsted.com. Orsted's a company, so I think this is actual propaganda, but whatever. It's from a Hank Hewitt,
some corporate PR here.
Yeah, I'm at least divulging what I think it is, so I'm not sitting here going, oh boy, I better swallow this hook, line, and sinker. Bad metaphor, right? Anyway, this is about fishing, that's why it's a bad metaphor. Actually, a good metaphor. But anyway, Angler's Paradise Among the Turbines. It's written by Hank Hewitt, who is a resident of Block Island, which is out in about 12 miles off the coast of Rhode Island in the United States, which ain't that far. Massachusetts, basically. Throughout the main part of the summer season, my life has lived more on water than it is on land. I've been fishing since I was 5. Back then, I would sooner give up Christmas than give up an opening day of trout season. Now I'm a charter boat fishing captain here on the island. I feel like that's where I was born to be, on the water. The feeling I get while I'm out here is one of ultimate freedom. Boy, this guy is the total opposite of me. I'm on a boat, I want to get back to shore. I'm like, this is boring. Let me leave. Anyway, as a professional angler, one of the main reasons Hank likes Block Island Wind Farm has, in fact, little to do with energy. I moved here from Scranton, Pennsylvania for the fishing, the pristine beaches, the raw nature. As an angler, I've learned that the island is a beacon for a multitude of different fish species. I know how the water moves. I know the different structures. I know what I'm pursuing. I'm often texting Kim Gaffett about certain birds as they can tell you what type of bait is down below. When I first moved to Block Island, the wind farm was still in discussion. I wasn't sure how it would impact the fish in the area, but it turns out one of the main reasons I like the wind farm has nothing to do with energy. The way I look at the turbines is you have what's under the water. The turbine structure has the potential to be an artificial reef for a lot of species that are in decline and potentially overfished right now. You look at the studies done, and so far it does not appear to have any negative impact on the species of fish you find in the area. And then you have what the turbine is doing above the water, and that's your energy creation. Part of the reasons why I left Pennsylvania was because of the habitat degradation and potential effects of natural gas fracturing, which is, again, any idiot that thinks that isn't harmful is an idiot. And I'm really disappointed that Kamala Harris wouldn't take a consistent position on it, saying fracking is bullshit, doesn't fucking accomplish anything. It's just making a bunch of assholes rich and ruining your
that's
groundwater.
what it accomplishes. Hey. Those people to pay my my election campaign. That's what it.
Yeah, a bunch of rich assholes stealing natural resources and not even paying for it, basically, is what it amounts to. Oh, this is the new experimental thing. We can't expect us to pay for it. Anyway. Yeah, I can expect you to pay for it. Anyway, so if you can use the natural forces of the earth to convert to electricity into the grid and you're not destroying the planet doing it, I'm all for it. Yes. Wind is clean energy. Fracking is not. That simple. The children growing up here definitely have a greater bond and attachment to the environment. They get out of school and they go straight to the ocean to surf, swim, and fish.
Yeah.
It's their lifestyle and they're part of it. We hope that this is a future generation of environmental stewards will look at it better, efficient ways to harness and store energy that's gained from what's in the water. So, the expansion of clean energy, providing shelter for coral reefs and all kinds of reefs and sea life. So there's your quick story. I have another story, but you got a wheel spin thing to do.
A wheel spin?
I mean, yeah, you're a Segway.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, I don't need to spin a wheel. I need to just get a Segway. So, well,
I forgot what it was. Sorry. I forgot what you
well,
spin,
you know,
man.
it's always good to be like the
Metaphor.
ducks. Jump in the water. There you go.
Okay. All right. So another good news story now, and there's another one. This is from grist.org. Excuse me. In Georgia, sheep on a solar farm is not a bad idea. Oh boy. As the pun is in the headline. This is from Emily Jones of grist.org. This coverage is made possible through a partnership between Grist and WABE, Atlanta's NPR station. This is a disclaimer at the top. On a vast property in Lee County in the heart of southwestern Georgia, Tyler Huber raises sheep. As the flock grazes, the sheep need somewhere to take a break from the Georgia sun. It's incredibly hot. The sun is just unavoidable, and the fact that they got shade every 15 feet out here is just an ideal environment to have shade so close, he said on a recent hot day. Oh yeah, it's got to be hot being a sheep. Imagine wearing a wool sweater all day long. Right?
No, I definitely think they shear them down at this point.
Well, it grows. It doesn't stop growing. And the sheep, in turn, cut down on mowing costs for the solar farm. The flock loves chowing down on the vegetation under and around the panels, Huber said. If we're able to grow this, was just about, which is just a buffet of everything you could ever want, they're going to happily eat that down. Eat that down. He talks just like he's from the South, doesn't he? Oh,
he's going to have to eat that down.
Oh, eat that down. We're not going to eat it. We're going to eat it down. The opposite of eating it up. It's actually the same thing as eating it up. Anyway, before solar developers Silicon Ranch bought this land, it used to have row crops, mostly corn and cotton and beehives. Farmers can't grow corn and cotton under solar panels, but this is still farmland for sheep and bees. Yeah, beehives under the solar panels. Perfect place. I remember a long time ago, I had a solar panel. This is off subject. It is subject, but it's something that happened in my life. There's this mountain peak in Texas called Shinati Peak. There's no roads. It's completely sheer cliffs on every side, right? Sheer cliffs. You had to get there in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And there's no electricity, so we had to power everything with solar panels. And up there was a giant array of solar panels. I think the FBI has a repeater up there. Not giving away any secrets. But the FBI stuff was 30 or 40 of these giant, huge solar panels. And one day during the summer, they had a fire there and burned up all the vegetation. There was no trees up there. All the vegetation burned up. So when I went up there to take my stuff down, I went up there in a helicopter, and all of the solar panels were underneath. The solar panels were completely encrusted, about 3 or 4 layers deep with ladybugs. The entire solar panel array, huge solar panels, 30 or 40 feet,
that's a lot.
15 feet wide by 15 wide, all encrusted, that thick with ladybugs. Every ladybug on that mountain was under those solar panels. Like, yeah, that was pretty trippy. Anyway, back to the story. Anyway, everything takes shelter under the solar panels. Scenes like this are increasingly common as power companies add more and more solar energy to keep with rising demand for renewable electricity. Many of these solar panels are being built on farmland. The American Farmland Trust, or AFT, which tracks the conversion of farmland for other uses, projected 80% of acreage needed to scale up solar energy could be agricultural land. The trend has given rise to a wave of opposition from local activists and state legislatures and the White House. No, don't be using our agricultural land for energy. We want to drill oil. That's the same thing, dude. Oh, anyway. But supporters say that often farming and solar energy can coexist. No shit. You also put them over parking lots. What's wrong with putting over a parking lot? It just makes too much sense, right?
Yeah.
Lisa Davis with the Lee County Chamber of Commerce said the Silicon Ranch project with ongoing sheep and beehive operations is different from what many expect when farmland gets sold or leased to solar companies. They envision in their head that you've got these big excavators and you just move everything out. She said that's not the case. The county actually paused solar development a few years ago over these concerns, which, okay, we're just gonna make shit up that don't exist and pause it. Yeah, you're gonna tear up all your land to put a solar panel on it. Doesn't even make any fucking sense. Who thinks that way? And anyway, the county actually paused solar development a few years ago over these concerns and asked Valdosta State University to look into the issue. The resulting study found that the financial benefits to taxpayers outweigh the downsides because the farmland gets a tax break. In Georgia, farmers pay property taxes on just 40% of the value of their land, but the county can collect full property taxes on the land used for solar. Davis said that can make a huge difference for rural communities. They're never going to get big manufacturers or a lot of big commercials, he said. So the opportunity of having a solar project can mean a lot. Still, there's been a pushback. Still, there's been a pushback to solar on farmland. A bill in Georgia's legislature this year would have removed the farmland tax break for an entire farm if it had solar, even when the solar is only part of the land. That measure passed the Georgia House, but not the Senate, and could still return next year. Other states, including Ohio and Missouri, have pursued limits on solar farm development. Oh, but they're still fracking. Oh, fracking doesn't ruin the land. You're right. Shooting chemicals into the ground is not bad for your land. But solar
That's
panels
weird that we
fuck.
replace physical matter with liquid matter. That can't possibly do anything bad.
Yeah, we're not causing any earthquakes. Never mind that we are. The Sticky the Clown administration says it wants to de-incentivize solar development on farmland because he's a giant pile of shit. Loss of farmland is a major concern, according to AFT, which estimates that 2,000 acres of farmland are lost to non-agriculture uses every day. But in Georgia, at least, the group said solar isn't the main culprit. A lot of what we see in terms of farmland conversion pressure in Georgia is actually due to low-density residential development. Oh no! We can't stop the rich people from building housing developments. That's good for the land, right? That's perfect for the land. I gotta say, when you're stupid, everything makes sense, right? You can just make anything make sense. Anyway, these are real concerns about solar, she said. I can drive up the price of land. It can drive up the price. There are real concerns about solar, she said. It can drive up the price of land. Everything can drive up the price of land. I don't even understand that one.
The people
Silicon
can drive
Ranch
up the price of the land.
Right. Fucking hurricanes that drive up the price of land, right? And hurricanes are increasing in intensity, aren't they? Why? Global warming. How can we increase our alarming? Decrease our carbon footprint. But yeah, you don't want to hear actual solutions. You want to hear, money, 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 no, money, no. That's everybody thinks they're got some special thing in their life that's gonna protect them for some reason. I have no fucking idea. It can drive up the price of land, says this article. Silicon Ranch recently reached a settlement with farmers who claimed another one of its Georgia installation, this one in Stewart County, was causing runoff on their land. Last year, citing concerns about effects on wildlife, the Houston County Board of Commissioners voted against allowing a large solar farm. But Osteen said these are also benefits. It just said can drive up the price of land, gave no examples, so that seems like a red herring. But Osteen said there are also benefits. Using part of the land for solar can guarantee farmers critical income even when weather or disease wipes out crops, for instance. The key, Osteen said, is for policymakers to guide solar development in a way that balances energy needs with farmers' interests. Ha! They're not going to do any of that in Georgia. They're going to do whatever makes the oligarchs rich. Anyway, there's your story.
Just like
Georgia's an oligarchy. They don't give a shit about common people while they lie to them.
Well, it's just like how people are with wind turbines, right? Oh, they're ugly. I don't like seeing them. You like seeing smokestacks pouring black, filled smoke into the sky? You like that too?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. They love it. They love.
When you're part of a cult, that's how it works, man. You just don't even think anymore. You just, it's good for the oligarchs. It must be good for me. That's how that works.
Totally how it works.
Sure. Shoot a bunch of chemicals into my groundwater, but don't you dare put up a solar panel. It might poison a cow or something. I don't know what the fuck.
Now suddenly we care about the animals, right? When I was a kid, I loved taking my BB gun out and shooting the birds. Wait. Birds can die from hitting wind turbines. You better take those down, the poor birds. I can't shoot them with my BB gun if they're dead from a wind turbine.
The power lines and cars kill way more birds than wind turbines do. So we get rid of cars anytime soon? No,
don't say that. Whoa, that. Trains, make the alarms go off.
Don't forget trains. Don't forget trains and buses and airplanes. They also kill birds. I gotta get rid of them. Everything kills birds. You gotta get rid of it. Unless it's something the rich people want. Then it's fucking great for us. Right? Private jets kill more birds.
We rolled metaphor and simile on your segue.
Ooh, okay.
And now we're going to do our culture segment. No, sorry. We're gonna do our whale segment. That's right. There's whales. And they're out there. Sorry, wrong camera. There we go. They're out there getting stranded on beaches and getting congested in traffic, and people are.
Did you say mixed metaphor? Is it mixed metaphor? Is it said?
No, normal metaphor. Simile metaphor.
Oh, normal. Okay.
This is coming from Andy Corbally on Good News Network. From a country that's typically in the news for hurting whales comes the story of a mass stranding event with a happy ending. Around 60 pilot whales, known locally as Grindhobbler, were found stranded on Olaf's Fjord beach last Sunday. I tried my best, thank you. Which last Sunday was what? That was the 29th of June. Locals and emergency crews rushed to the room area in a desperate effort to save the mammals, and by approximately 7 p.m. local time, rescue teams had successfully moved the whales from the shoreline back into open water. According to local media, the whales were likely mackerel, fish that have migrated north due to warming seas. And the pod became disoriented and trapped in shallow... Holy mackerel! Trapped in shallow water. Yeah, this is kind of the... Whales are a great example of kind of that sheep mentality, they just keep going. Oh, the lead whale is telling us to keep going, so we're going to go all the way to the beach. That's where the mackerel are, supposedly. They got stuck in trapped in shallow waters and became disoriented. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, said Mark Sanchez. Catalan was visiting Olaf's Fjord at the time and working at a local hotel. It was the first time in my life witnessing whales from so close, even being able to touch them. He ran to the beach after getting a call from his friend and filmed the dramatic scene. Felt a mix of emotions in the Southwest News Service. Amazement, sadness, frustration. I wanted to help them, but it was impossible. Apparently, the rescue effort continued. Dozens of villagers who rushed to aid the emergency crews. The water was freezing, so I couldn't stay in for long, but I tried my best to assist however I could, said Sanchez. One of the last countries to cease whaling, Iceland and Wales rarely make headlines together for good reasons. While tourists used to be told and whalers used to explain, whale was a traditional part of the Icelandic diet. This isn't the case, and as a number intensity, the whaling ceased by. Yeah, that's right. When you live on an island in the middle of nowhere, you do have to eat something, and it doesn't really grow much. Iceland doesn't really have farms. Okay, it's a little too cold there. All round, I don't even know if they have any good actual. They're growing.
Gotta have long days in the summer. And if you got a greenhouse, you can grow anything.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They should just grow more. Well, they don't need greenhouses because they have volcanic heat. Now they can heat their plants that way.
In Alaska, you can grow pumpkins you can live in. So the long days definitely allow for growing stuff.
So, but I guess their only natural protein sources that wasn't plant-based, right, was whales, caribou, or something.
Right.
Icelandic pony.
Right.
No, don't eat the Icelandic ponies.
Whale oil was also a good source of energy.
Yep.
Lighting, so forth. Whale blubber will keep forever, especially in a frozen place. Sorry.
But there,
metaphor? Are we ready for a metaphor? Oh, okay. Well, the metaphor, I was about to say whales were like one-stop shopping back in the day, right? For your Inuits and all the people of the coastal Arctic regions. One-stop shopping. Whale, get everything from your whale. It was like a big old shopping mall. Anyway, they're just similar.
The Icelandic whale shop. In more whale news,
big old shopping mall.
We have Australia's Humpback Highway. This is by Charlotte Graham McClay and Mark Baker on AP News. Coming out of Port Stephens, Australia. The ferry was late, but not because of the usual traffic. Sydney commuters watched from an idling boat this month as humpback whales the size of buses surfaced nearby, holding the vessels passing across the harbor. Curious mammals seem to be watching them back. In June and July, it's not uncommon for whales to stop water traffic in Sydney. Winter heralds the opening of the so-called Humpback Highway, a migratory corridor along Australia's east coast used by 40,000 of the massive creatures as they travel from feeding grounds in the freezing Antarctica to the tropical breeding areas off Queensland state. It's blubber to blubber, said Vanessa Pirota, a wildlife scientist at the Macquarie University, author of the book Humpback Highway. During peak traffic periods, the bustling coastal city of 5.5 million people becomes one of the world's few urban centers where you might see a breaching whale on your morning walk, or buying a coffee, or waiting at a bus stop. Any place you can see the ocean. The reason humpback on the highway are so visible is their size. Adults can be 6 to 17 meters, or 52 to 56 feet in length, and weigh 40 tons in their proximity to people. On their 10,000 kilometer or 6,000 mile journey from ice to balmy waters, one of the world's longest mammal migrations, the creatures stay close to the shore, so you definitely can. They are incredibly curious, says Pirota. There's been times where there have been whales in the harbor this year, where they've literally halted traffic. And then there's a picture of a humpback whale with tons of barnacles on it, like a barnacle beard. Somebody give that whale a scratch post.
Big old scratch post.
I'm just saying, imagine having a bunch of barnacles just living on your, like, right here on your neck. Not seeing them. Australians get so close to the creatures that some have attracted fans, and among them are Migaloo, an all-white humpback whose sightings spanned 1991 to 2020, and Blade Runner, named for her tussle with a boat propeller that created her long, distinct scars. Some keen whale watchers seek a closer look. On a recent morning, Ben Armstrong, a veteran skipper of whale-watching boat in Port Stephens, a scenic harbor north of Sydney, slowed the engine as two humpbacks reached nearby. He encouraged passengers to put down their phones for the spectacle. Armstrong keeps his tourist boat at distance mandated by Australian state laws, but the inquisitive whales often go off script. Oh, it's coming closer. Oh no! I can't move the ship that fast. Once the skipper let his boat drift for an hour while 4 or 5 humpbacks treated the vessel like a bath toy, painfully preventing it from moving forward or back. In another episode, a whale peeled away from its pod and rushed to the boat like a dog greeting its master at the gate, he said. It lounged for 40 minutes in the water, rubbing its massive fins against the vessel. Like, oh, there's a boat I really like, said Armstrong. Vincent Kelly, who traveled from Geelong, Victoria, witnessed the migration, was a recent passenger. For 2 hours, watched half a dozen humpbacks with breathtaking aerial maneuvers. It was unbelievable, Kelly said. I didn't expect to actually see a whale, but they were everywhere. Congestion marks a conservation comeback. Comeback bird-like marks a sharp reversal of fortune for whales. They were once hunted for oil, and numbers dwindled to a few hundred before humpbacks became a protected species in the southern hemisphere in 1963. So they've been having a comeback since you've been alive. Humpback boomed to about 40,000 since it's brought the creature frequent contact with people. That means more entanglements with fishing nets or run-ins with watercraft. Where and when they appear has become less predictable too. Whales in recent years giving birth to calves the size of small paws in unexpected places. Harvesting of krill, which humpbacks eat in bulk, and cheese due to climate change could be altering their migratory patterns. The population is still growing steadily, amplifying concerns about how humans and giants of the sea safely share the coastline. But it also puts millions of Australians walking a little look away from encountering one of the largest mammals on the planet. Grounds you, I think, said Armstrong, the boat skipper. It makes you realize there's a lot more out there than we think there is in nature. There's your inspirational and uplifting story about the humpbacks getting back to where they once belonged. Reminds you of a song. And
yeah, but
we have a metaphor for that.
We didn't. A metaphor. Wow. Another whale metaphor, huh? Well, it's just like it's like a train, right? A train of whales going by in the ocean, underwater, like on a rail, right?
The humpback
like, hey, let's go
highway, yeah.
Humpback train. Yeah,
that
right.
in itself is already a metaphor.
Didn't even like. Right. Well, you had two stories about whales, so what can I do? Yeah, I run out of whale metaphors. All right.
Let's roll the wheel for our next segment.
All right.
And I have to write you a haiku.
Haiku about happiness. Haiku about happiness. That could almost be alliteration. The thing about happiness is you can't run out of it, right? It's one of those things you can't run out of happiness, and if you give it to somebody else, they get it. They get happiness.
And you get more back, I would say.
Right. It doesn't subtract from the happiness you just gave them. In fact, they can give more happiness to other people just from you making them happy. So there you go.
Happiness
does
not follow
effect.
the laws of thermodynamics.
Right. It's not a zero-sum game, as you want to think. Oh, my God, he's happy. I better be sad. Doesn't work that way. This is CanadianLiving.com. 9 simple ways to be happy every day. Andrea Carr is the author of this. Cloud9 is as far as reaches you might think. We asked the experts. Well, we know there's experts out there. I wonder if they're happy. For simple strategies to wake up with a smile each and every day. Well, good luck waking up with a smile. I don't know if that's possible. You have to have a good dream to wake up with a smile, wouldn't you? Anyway, sure, life is filled with ups and downs. Who doesn't feel sad, anxious, or a bit lost every now and then? But these feelings don't define us, and they don't define our year, our week, or even our day. The ability to change our thoughts, moods, and effect, live lives in the power of positive thinking so we consulted the pros about what we can do from day to day to turn the proverbial frown upside down and discover greater happiness within. That's right, happiness. Yay! Again, you can't control the world, but you control your attitude, right? Number one, take frequent breaks. Though easy access to smartphones and computer means we can solve most conundrums with a touch of a button, many apps are highly addictive and take time away from things that really matter, such as family, friends, and complex problem solving that leads to personal growth. These days, tech is in charge of us. We are not in charge of it. As to paraphrase George Carlin, we don't tell time, time tells us. These days, tech is in charge of us. We are not in charge of it. In other words, same paraphrase of the same thing, right? Tech telling us what to do. Oh my God, I just spent 15 hours looking at my fucking phone. What has my life come to? Anyway, these days, tech is in charge of us. We're in charge, says leadership coach Ellen Petrie Lanz, author of The Happiness Hack. To break the cycle, take a tech timeout and start every day during social interactions. Yeah, don't look at your phone while you're talking to somebody. It's rude. Number two, interrupt adverse thought patterns. Number two is interrupt adverse thought patterns. Negative thinking creates negative feelings, says California-based corporate culture consultant Larry Sen, author of The Mood Elevator. And grateful thinking creates grateful feelings. If you can change your thoughts, you can change your life. One easy tactic for transforming your mindset is to interrupt it. If you notice you're bombarded by stressful thoughts, go for a walk, help someone with a problem, or play with your pet and see if you feel a mood shift. Yeah. Don't
Buy
just
a
go
pet.
be consumed with your negativity. Yeah. Or buy a plant, you know, a fish, anything.
Talk to your plant for
Number
10
3,
minutes every day.
Stay curious. Oh, I love this one. Stay curious. If you think you know everything, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. When someone cuts you off during rush hour or a coworker argues with you during a presentation, it can suddenly seem like the world is out to get you. How dare you disagree with me? You hate me. Anyway, but feeling affronted and judgmental is a choice, and you can pick a different attitude. Everybody is doing what makes sense to them based on their own thinking, says Shen. We don't have to agree with it, but we can decide not to take it personally. Instead, choose to be curious about the thought process and circumstances that led the person's actions. And while you're at it, consider the underlying reasons for your actions. Yeah, and ask him, hey, were you born stupid, or have you been working on it your whole life? That's the kind of thing you say to him. Anyway. Number 4, build deeper in-person connections. The majority of the people I interact with in my work as a teacher and a coach say that the thing they want most is the sense of deeper connections. Yes, people are awful dismissive of your opinions. I hate that. They say things I want to find my tribe. I want to be with people I understand and understand me. Never mind that your tribe is changing who they are to fit you. Did you ever think of that? Anyway, building these connections is easier than you think. It can be simple as trying to engage with others and being curious about them and asking questions to understand more. Try to follow the simple rule. Listen more than you talk. Larry King once said, I have never learned anything by talking. Number 5, take care of your body. It is tough to have positive mindset if you're running on little sleep, no exercise, and a steady diet of burgers and chocolate bars. Wait
a minute, that doesn't sound bad at all. What do you mean?
That's bad for you? We know that when people get run down physically, they catch colds more easily, says Sen. When you get run down physically, you catch moods more easily by ensuring that you maintain a healthy diet, engage in vigorous exercise, and get adequate sleep. You build resilience to life's hardships, and you probably feel better about yourself overall, which is another key component of positive thinking. Number 6, make time for meditation. Spending quiet time focusing on breathing or completing guided meditations is one way to train your active mentality, the one that jumps to conclusions and is quick to react, to pause before acting, to promote greater emotional intelligence, profound sense of calm. It is like weightlifting of the mind, says Lenz. But if setting aside a specific chunk of time seems impossible right now, simply try to be more mindful of day-to-day life. Find moments to be reflective and pay attention to the now as you navigate everyday tasks, says Lenz. For instance, when you wash the dishes, focus on the temperature of the water, the smell of the soap, and the feel of each item in your hands. Ooh, squishy, squishy. Number 7, practice gratitude. Don't be a selfish asshole. Practice gratitude. According to Sen, the whole host of researchers cultivating a perspective of gratitude is one of the best ways to tap into a happier life. To do so, keep gratitude journal. Take a few minutes each day to think of 3 things you're grateful for, or compliment other people to show appreciation. If you want to be happier, forget the myth that achievements or acquisitions bring happiness, says Sen. Instead of focus on activities will nourish gratitude for the blessings you've already been granted. Yeah. I love it when people want you to be happy for them buying them. Yeah.
I'm grateful for this thermos where my ice water is going to be cold all day.
Yeah. And then when people give you happy news, don't try to bring them down.
Oh, yeah.
Just
That's
be
not
happy
that happy. Why are you happy about that? It's like, what the fuck, dude? What did I do to you?
Big deal. You're an
Big
idiot.
deal, man.
Anyway. Excuse me. Number 8, challenge yourself. Guilty pleasures like watching TV or checking social media reward our brains with quick spikes of dopamine. Not me. I don't get any dopamine from anything like that. I don't know. I don't think I got any of that. Maybe a sporting event, but
watching
they don't offer
golf makes you happy, right? Otherwise, why are you watching golf?
Not really. I just like I like it. It's calming and nothing's quiet, right? I don't even care who wins. Unless I have money on it, I don't care who wins. I frequently gamble on it. Don't forget that part.
That's
anyway,
happiness.
But they don't offer a lasting sense of satisfaction in the same way that completing projects, being creative, learning, working on long-term goals, and doing routine tasks like weeding the garden will, that's not the same we should say we should never enjoy a mindless distraction, but completing deep work, the things that actually matter to us as an individual, will provide far more happiness in the long run. And number 9, delay actions. You will have hard days. That's given in life, but the occasional bad day or mood can't hurt you if you press pause on the rash actions. Think yelling at a loved one or sending a snotty email. Your thinking is unreliable in the lower mood state, says Sen, meaning that you may not be able to think clearly if you're anxious, angry, or impatient, or sad. Don't trust your feelings during lower mood states. Instead, acting on unreliable thinking, delay important conversations and decisions. There's your 9 tips. 9 tips to be happy. And if you're not happy today, don't blame me, because I tried.
Ew, gross. Who put snot in my email? Somebody, just blew a whole entire their nose in my email. In bloom, joy spreads wide. A ripple of laughter, a smile. More happiness abides. So there you go.
Nice.
Smile wide and you can abide. Got our rhyming scheme here.
You're rhyming when you don't have to. That was my...
Okay, let's roll another segue wheel for our culture segment. As the sun goes behind the clouds. I put a new battery in my temperature thing, and according to it, it's 34 degrees. Well, I guess you can't see it there because you're here. It's 34 degrees with 36 humidity. So.
What is it, 90?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Quick math. Track 32. Or add 32, sorry. Add 32 and multiply by 5/9. Whatever.
Yeah, I can't do that math to say.
All right.
Brain isn't working.
We've got a non sequitur again. I don't know if you want to re-roll.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Then our next story is coming out of the UK, and we're going to have a little hypothetical question of what would British culture be like if Oasis had never existed? Some people probably think it'd be better. The world would be better if Oasis never existed. I don't really care. I mean, like you said before the show started, very neutral about Oasis. Hasn't really affected your life. That hasn't affected my life. But would
right.
Britpop? But here, Dorian Linsky on The Guardian is asking this question: would Britpop have ever happened? Would bands still dream as big? As Oasis prepare for the return gig this Friday, we're asking what their cultural impact has been, if any. In the peculiar counterfactual 2019 rom-com Yesterday, I've seen this film, it was actually pretty funny, the Beatles suddenly and mysteriously vanished from history, remembered by just one man. In the interest of a cheap joke, writer Richard Curtis and probably suggests that every band in the world still exists in the Beatles' absence, bar one. Oasis! But what about a world without Oasis? As the Gallaghers themselves would admit, they weren't innovators like the Beatles. Every move changed the course of popular music. No, if Noel had ever joined Liam's band at the end of 1991, Creation Records might well have gone bust. Manchester City would have had less pop catch it, and the royal family would have needed a different theme tune. But music wouldn't have sounded significantly different. Today, new bands are more likely to cite the spiky intelligence of Radiohead or the Smiths than Oasis's broad strokes, and very few younger than Arctic Monkeys expect to fill stadiums. What Tracy Emin beautifully describes as the brightness of things happening did not depend on Oasis. From club culture to young British artists, train spotting to Kate Moss, new Labour to Euro 96, the era's color was turned up with or without them. Nor did Britpop flow from Oasis. By the time Definitely Maybe came out in August 1994, Suede and Pulp were crashing the charts, and Blur's Park Life was on its way to going 4 times platinum. Their paths moved by Matthew Bannister's rejuvenation of Radio 1. The commercial bar for indie rock had already been raised up. Another reason Blur is better than Oasis. They're already on the charts. Anyways, instead of the mania around the reunion demonstrates, The Gallagher's unique achievement was unprecedented scale. It made alternative culture mainstream because nobody else craved success so unapologetically. Daytime airplay, number one, stadiums, the whole shebang. For some of their peers, this breakneck acceleration and magnification produced new opportunities. Oasis' example made possible the second acts of Manic Street Preachers, The Verve, and Robbie Williams, for inspiring the formation of younger bands such as The Killers, Arctic Monkeys, and Kasabian. It wasn't the sound so much as the possibility. Music for the masses. I think that's fair, right? To give the idea that, hey, wait a minute, you can do that too. Wait, I didn't think it was possible, but this guy proved that it was possible. You don't have to be the Beatles, right, to fill stadiums. You can also be a mediocre Britpop band and still fill stadiums. Oasis made dreaming big not just an option, but a necessity. It wasn't who's good, who Radley's Martin Carr complained of the cash-burning AR hunt for the next Oasis. It was who's going to be famous. Bands like his, accustomed to the modest commercial goals, were suddenly deemed failures if their latest single missed the top 20, and derailed by these impossible expectations. Even Damon Albarn and Jarvis Cocker soon overdosed on pop celebrity and sought stranger escape routes. Hey, if it wasn't for Oasis, we wouldn't have the Gorillaz, is what it sounds like. And that is definitely worth having Oasis around. Oasis alone.
That sounds really dubious.
I love Gorillaz, man. Well, Oasis didn't create such a high standard, right? Expectation. They wouldn't have been burned out, and then they wouldn't have given up on Blur, I think is the thing here. Oasis alone sought and achieved true mass appeal by tapping into a communal aspiration hedonism suited the times. By shrugging off indie's underdog mentality, they also devalued its eccentric outsider's point of view. I'm such an outsider with my $1 million mansion and my Mercedes-Benz, my BMW. Yeah, you're such an outsider, dude. You don't know what it's like to be a working-class guy from Manchester. The Britpop boom scrambled the music paper's bearings, turning them into cheerleaders for what was popular rather than the champions of interstate. Oasis shut down the argument, shut down experimentation. The artist Jeremy Deller once complained, "I took all the oxygen out of the scene and became the only band." Nothing summed up the new sports like obsession with victory more than Blur and Oasis' news-making battle for number one in August 1995, which also established a crude and artificial class dynamic. Contrary to the rich and varied history of British popular music, the discourse around Oasis defined the only authentic working-class music as simple, direct, white, lavishly male, and aggressively anti-intellectual. Noel insisted, sometimes disingenuously, that the songs meant next to nothing. They were just about a feeling. Oasis were a vibe and energy, and one that lent itself to gung-ho patriotism. Contrast Albarn's sharp ambivalence about British identity with the blunt hurrah of Noel's Union Jack guitar. Oasis can't be blamed for all these unintended consequences, but they were the giant catalysts of it. Today, the Gallaghers are in every 90s nostalgia montage. Liam in bed on the cover of Vanity Fair's Cool Britannia issue, and Noel shaking hands with Tony Blair at number 10. They remain a magnetic force, bending their collective memory towards them. So, yet again, let's imagine the Oasis never came to pass. What's different? Most of 90s culture proceeds anyway. Only in busy diversity is more apparent. Britpop remains, but in a less thematically populist form, closer to journalist Stuart McConney's original 1993 manifesto of glamour, wit, and irony. Alternative music still crosses over, but its growth is more sustainable, and commercial success does not become a do-or-die metric. Tabloid gossip columns rarely overlap with NBE. Flags and politicians are still regarded with suspicion. The lows aren't as low, but maybe the highs aren't as high. So I guess take that little intellectual question and think for yourself. How different would the world be if certain artists never became big hits, you know? I think the world would be different if the Gorillaz never happened. I think the Gorillaz are really important to the early 2000s music landscape.
Definitely
I'm biased because I love the Gorillaz and they changed my life.
Yeah, they probably had more hits in the United States than Oasis did, because I can only think of one hit they even had. So, might have changed British music scene for sure. I don't know. like the clubs, the people that play in clubs. It's really hard to quantify. But the thing where they called them they used to do this all the time, and they might still do it. The next Beatles, right?
Yeah.
But Oasis was more like the next Kinks. The Kinks.
Yeah.
More like.
I agree with that.
Because the Kinks are brothers, just like Oasis, and they fight on stage, just like Oasis. So fist fights on stage. I don't know if Oasis ever had a fist fight on stage, but I know the Kinks did several times. In fact, they were banned from the United States for their violence.
Really?
That's why the Kinks, in the first days in, that's why the Kinks never hit it big. Yeah, they had their visas revoked for being shitheads. Yeah, so yeah, Oasis, basically the new Kinks. That's what I thought of them. Oh, they're just like the Kinks. They get in a fight on stage. All right.
Sounds about right. Sounds like a great non sequitur too. Let's do our last segue for this day in history. And I did get your video and I downloaded it.
Right on. So this day in history, ripping through this one. We may do the show in under an hour and a half or change. Ooh.
Mostly because I just want to stop existing right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, this room is just really warm. I'd rather be downstairs on the cold tile floor than
deeper psychological thing. Okay. All right, so we're gonna whip through this at warp speed. 1535 on this day, Sir Thomas More. You ever wondered who that guy was? Sir Thomas More went on trial for treason for refusing to accept King Henry VIII as the head of the Church of England. Yeah, they did stupid shit like that. Yeah, whatever. Religions. You just gotta love the stupid shit that they do. 1690, in the Battle of Boyne, King William III of England. King William III of England was actually of the Netherlands. Defeated former king, right? He was William of Orange. He wasn't from England.
No,
anyway,
yeah.
Defeated former king James II, who was attempting to take back the throne, right? That was they called the Pretender, James the Pretender. And of course, William of Orange became King of England and married Mary Stuart, and they were William and Mary. And when they died with no kids, Queen Anne took over. 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg. And Queen Anne had 17 kids, but none of them lived beyond infancy. Probably because they're inbreds. You know, marrying her cousin. There's always, you marry your cousin, that's what you get. All right, back to the history. 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg began on this day in 1863. So that was 162 years ago. And the South lost and probably could have been wiped out on their retreat, but the stupid Northern Army decided to let them retreat all the way back, and they could have wiped them out, but they decided not to. And that's when they had to fire the generals and get Ulysses S. Grant to take over. He just said, hey, let's end this war. 1903, the first Tour de France began, and the race went on to become cycling's most prestigious and difficult event. Oh yeah, Tour de France this day, 1903. 1963, the U.S. Postal Service instituted the Zone Improvement Plan Code, or the ZIP Code. 5-digit code that starts at 0001 and goes to the 9999. And it tells you where your mail's going through, automatically sorting it. An automatic sorting machine does it, and then mail's supposed to be delivered faster nowadays, but it really isn't. 1968, the United States, the United Kingdom, the USSR, and 59 other states signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty in an attempt to halt the spread of nuclear weapons. Those 59 other states probably didn't have nuclear weapons, so I don't even know what they were thinking.
They attempted it, whether successful, no, but...
They had to be strong arm tactics, I guarantee you. Strong arm tactics, these 59 other countries going, why can't we have nuclear weapons again? Anyway. 1979, Sony begins selling its Walkman, a portable cassette player, an international sensation. The device changed the way people listen to music. Yeah. They got this radical new idea. Tape recorder this big, tape player this big, stereo tape player this big, with a headphone instead of a big bunch of speakers. And people that were carrying these big boom boxes. This used to be a thing. Believe it or not, in the 70s. Giant boom box. Walk to the beach. You had this big boom box on your shoulder. And you're just ruining everybody's day at the beach. because they gotta listen to your shitty music. Walkman took care of that. Your music, nobody else has to listen to it. 1979, the Crown Colony of Hong Kong officially reverted to Chinese sovereignty in the 156 years of British rule. So Hong Kong, about 3 years later, I guess it became fully Chinese. 2002, the International Criminal Court established to prosecute and adjudicate individual accused of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity began sittings. I think that's in The Hague, right? 2004, Marlon Brando passed away. Iconic motion picture and stage actor Marlon Brando, the most celebrated of the method actors, died at the age of 80. Got to be 80.
Pretty good.
I could have been a contender.
Pretty good for people
I could
from
have
that
been
era.
somebody. That's my Marlon Brando, by the way. I could have been a contender. Could have been somebody. Not 2020, the North American Free Trade Agreement, a controversial trade pact that took effect in 1994, was replaced by the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which the idiots in charge now is tearing up in favor of a bunch of stupid fucking tariffs that accomplish nothing but make our economy go into the shitter. Way to go, morons. You voted for an idiot. And this day in history, July 1st, also our featured event, 1867, the Dominion of Canada was established. Yeah, that's right. Canada. It's Canada Day today. We didn't know that.
Happy
The Dominion of Canada
Canada!
was
You got
formed this day in
you
1867.
joined the Commonwealth or something.
Yeah. The Dominion of Canada was formed this day in 1867. The event subsequently celebrated as an annual Canadian holiday. Its current name, Canada Day, was adopted in 1982, marked by parades, fireworks, and display of flags. Patriotic old Canada Day. Our featured biography is Diana, Princess of Wales, was born on this day, July 1st, 1961. She would be 64 if she wasn't killed by British Secret Service. Oh, sorry. If she wasn't died in a car accident.
Yeah, car
Wink,
accident.
wink.
Yeah, wink, wink.
July 1st. Yeah. Wink, wink. July 1st, 1961. She died August 31st, 1997 at the age of 36 in Paris. And we've been to that place where she
Everyone's
died.
criminal.
Yep. I'm going out. She was assassinated, and so was her boyfriend. It was I'm sorry. If you think that was an accident, good luck to you. 1818. Ignaz Semmelweis, Hungarian physician, was born. There you go. It's a birthday of Olivia de Havilland, American actress, Gone with the Wind actress, born in 1916. She'd be 109 today. She lived at a ripe old age, I believe. I think she lived to be 100 or something. 1934, Sidney Pollack, American director, producer, and actor, was born. 1961, Diana, we did that. It's Missy Elliott's birthday. Missy Elliott, American rapper and music producer, is turning 54. And our national day today, it is, besides the zip code day, and besides U.S. postage stamp day. It's a hell of a convenient thing. It's the day the zip code started, it's National Postal Worker Day, and it's National Postage Stamp Day. All that stuff at the post office. It's National Creative Ice Cream Flavors Day. Creative ice cream flavors. Oh, I don't know. Bugs and rodents flavor. I don't know. That's creative. National Ginger Snap Day, and those are all the days. So that's everything. Our spins of the wheel, our mispronunciations, our news, our good news, Good Tues Newsday. On July 1st, 2025, on Before Ginger Snaps.
Healthy ginger snaps.
And creative.
Well, today reminds me of a song, and that song is DJ, please pick up your phone. I'm on the request line. Is it worth it? Let me work it. My thing down, flip it and reverse it. If you're big different rep, yeah. By Missy Elliott, Work It by Missy Elliott, which is just put my thing down, flip it and reverse it in reverse. So that's what that says there for anybody who didn't know. Everyone who wasn't alive in when was this? 2002 song came out.
Have to cheer your attempt at singing.
Yeah, happy birthday, Missy Elliott. One of the first, women rappers to prove that, hey, women can also put words together and say it fast. Wow.
And producer.
Yeah,
Rapper and producer.
Make her own music videos, I think. She also made her own music videos. Yeah.
And produce other people's music for them. Produce other
Exactly.
people's crap for them because they don't like being in the studio.
And no one, honestly,
Anyway.
no one puts enough respect on Missy Elliott's name, and they needed to put more respect on it. Anyways,
Right.
there are no international UN celebrations at all this week. There are 0. So,
Wow.
except for yesterday.
Shut her down.
We had 2 yesterday, but the rest of the week, until Saturday and Sunday, there's nothing. So, this has been
And it's
Allison.
Happy
I'm gonna
Canada
cough.
Day.
I'm eating
Canada.
spicy. I'm eating spicy Cheetos in between the stories, and now I'm coughing my
boy.
spicy Cheetos.
That'll cool you down.
I'm also drinking this cold lemonade. Anyways, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands. The very yet again 33 degrees now, Netherlands. That's the humidity. This is as we try to survive this hot planet. And of course, Roger from the east coast of the U.S., which has been hot. It was hot last week for you as well. Getting that fan
91.
directly on your body just to cool yourself off. And everyone else, I hope.
91, man.
Yeah, hope everyone else is drinking water and staying cool, and of course wearing that sunscreen if you do go outside. You know, jump in the local lake or river or wherever you live. I mean, I've always lived by water. I'm very lucky in that way. I couldn't imagine living in the middle of nowhere where there's no water and I can't jump in the water if I'm crazy.
Right.
But we will see you tomorrow for Wacky and Weird Wednesday. I already have one story for that myself. So make sure you're subscribed and you have those notifications turned on so you know when we go live, post a video so you can get all your wacky and weird stories about humanity. And here is our mic drop moment. The first ad
This is the
for listening to music.
looking. Poor guy who's living in black and white. He put the Oh wow. Across the street, everybody's dancing to their own music in their heads.
Truly incredible sound.
Wow, look at that guy. We looked up what song was the #1 song of the year.
And see the world
And then
in a
Sony
whole
Walkman
new
released.
light.
It was My Sharona.
Yeah.
From Sony, the one and only.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I would have said "What a Fool Believes" by the Doobie Brothers, but my Sharonas, yeah. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels: Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.